Hello, Bill. You are a Trager practitioner and trainer.
Yes.
You're the instructor, one of the instructor of the Trager training in Kiental. And an interesting question came up for me, that how does the Trager approach, the Trager work fit in this medical model we are used to?
Let me give you a little history to begin to talk about that. And Milton Trager came to this work as a young man. He was 16 or 17 years old at the time. And he had a boy who lived next door who had polio and who was in a wheelchair and in leg braces. And Milton said, I don't know why, but I just went over every day when he came home from school and I played with his feet and legs. He said it took me about 3 weeks to have him out of the wheelchair and up and walking without the braces. And he said, it's just something that came to me. And he continued to explore his work just with people he saw. He lived in Miami Beach. He would go down to the beach and, he would see somebody who was not able to move well, and he would just walk up and say, could I play with you for a little while? And often people were shocked enough to say yes. And so he began to build a skill set. And in time he thought, well, I really should be able to share this with the medical world, but he had no credentials of any kind. And it was the 1920s, 1930s. So he became, in those days in California, what was called a doctor of physical medicine, which was sort of a physiotherapist. Maybe a naturopath involved in it, some chiropractic. And he found that still wouldn't get him into the medical world. So during the Second World War, he worked in a hospital with returning soldiers, and he basically said, I went from bed to bed and did what I could for these soldiers, these injured soldiers. At the end of the war, he was 42 years old, and he really believed he had something, so he went to medical school at 42. No American medical school would accept him, he was too old. So he went to Guadalajara, Mexico, to medical school. And there he said that he was an expert, when they asked him that question, in infantile paralysis and polio, because he had had much experience in the 30s and early 40s. That was a big problem in the world. So he did that work. For the years he was in Mexico, he worked with children who were brought to him, and adults too, who came to him from all over Mexico. And he always said it was a great part of his life. So after that, he was a medical doctor and he had this experience. Now we're in the early 1950s, and he would go to other doctors and say, I can do these things. And they would say, where are the studies? And of course he had none. So he made that decision very early on that he would just do his work. And that's what he did. So along the way, he ended up doing a demonstration at Esalen Institute in California. And the people there were fascinated with what he was doing. So he thought, well, this is where I'll teach the work. So he began to teach it to anyone who came through Esalen, and that included medical doctors, it included all kinds of health professionals, psychotherapists, massage therapists, medical massage, everybody. And he came to Europe a number of times and taught in Europe, and began to build more of a community of his students. I think the work has become more available to the medical community because the medical community now is more open to any kind of complementary therapies. Certainly not everybody in the medical community, but many people are. And so today we see Gabriella and I in our practice in Zurich get regular referrals from doctors. They send us people on a regular basis. And one of the great things about Switzerland is we're in the insurance system, which doesn't happen in the United States. So that's just been a joy. So people can afford to come and come over time, and we see people get better. We see people improve. So that's a joy. As the understanding of anatomy deepens and as it changes and as more doctors see results, I think they're more open and available, and as their patients ask them for these complementary kinds of work, they become more open and available to it. And the other truth is that we see a number of doctors who come to us as clients, and they love the work. And they love what it does for them. So once you have that experience, it doesn't matter what you do for a living, you're willing to offer that to other people. Once you have that experience of feeling better yourself, once that happens, you're able to say, yeah, you should go see this guy or that gal or whatever it is.
Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.